our favorite song that we were doing at the beginning of the year called Poor Little Bug on the Rug, if I can remember, on the wall. So it went like, poor little bug on the wall, nobody loves him at all, no one to tickle his toes, no, wait a minute, I forgot how it goes. Poor little bug on the wall. Y'all might have to sing it yourself because Miss Stout can't remember the words. No one to, na na na. Okay, we'll have to come back to it because I can't remember how the words went. One of you could probably be saying, hey, Miss Stout, I know what it is and tell me, but I can't hear you, so you won't be able to help me do that one. But you can practice that one at home yourself. All right. Now we're going to look at, see how many of you can remember your hand motions, because we were also learning the hand motions for the solfege, the do, re, mi, and I'm going to go over those with you and see if we can remember those. Okay, remember, do was your hand like this, re, mi, so, no, I mean fa, can't read it. I gotta put on my other glasses, I can't see it. So, ti, no, la, ti, do. Let me do that again. Do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. So we'll sing it one time. Do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. All right, I'm going to also post the do, re, mi song, so if you guys want to do that one and practice it with the motions that I taught you and also practice it with your solfege, you can do that while you're at home. Okay, now we're going to go to our lesson and we're going to go finish studying our musical instrument families. And I'm going to see again who can remember what families we've already studied, and you can give yourself some points if you can remember some of these. So we have studied a family that has the violin, the viola, the harp, string bass, and I want you to stop for a minute and think, what is the name of that family? All right, if you said the string family, you can give yourself a point. All right, the next family that we studied was a family that is made out of metal, and it has valves, and you can move it like this or you can play it like this. And some of those instruments would have been the trumpet, the trombone, the tuba, and the French horn. All right, so see if you know the name of that family. That family would be the brass family. All right, the last family we studied right before we left to come home before we left school, not knowing we weren't coming back, was a family that we talked about. Sometimes it uses wood as a little reed on the mouthpiece, or sometimes you just blow air into it and you use your fingers to determine what pitch the notes are going to be. And some of those instruments would have been the saxophone, the flute, the recorder, the oboe, the piccolo, and I think that was about the only ones we went over. So think for a minute if you can tell me the name of that family. That family is the woodwind family. Now I have one extra credit question. So I want to see if you can tell me there is one instrument that is in the string family, but is also in another family. See if you know what that instrument is. That is the piano. And we are getting ready to study this other family today, the very last family, which is actually really my favorite family to study. And that family is going to be the percussion family. So I have some instruments here that are part of the percussion family. Now, in order to be a part of the strings family, you had to have strings. In order to be a part of the brass family, you had to have a mouthpiece and be made out of metal. In order to be a part of the woodwind family, you had to have a lot of different holes where you played with your fingers to determine how much air came out. Well, in order to be a part of the percussion family, you have to do one of three things. You have to either you beat it, you hit it with something, a stick, you hit it with your hands, or you shake it. So anything that falls into those three categories are going to be a part of the percussion family. Normally I would have more instruments, but I didn't have any teachers to borrow instruments from now because I'm not going to the schools that I work at. But we have a few, and I'm going to show you examples of some of them. So this would be an example of an instrument that you shake. This is called the maraca. This would be an example of another instrument that you shake, or you can hit with your hand, and this is called a tambourine. A lot of you might see people use the tambourine sometimes in your worship at church. Maracas are usually more Mexican or maybe South American. They'll use them in their music. I have a drum. I don't have a snare drum this time because I wasn't able to get one to bring for you, but the drum has a top and a hollow inside, and you hit it with a stick. Now, a snare drum, I have a little video I think I'm going to put on your lesson plan for today, and you can see what a snare drum sounds like, because it's a little bit different than that kind of drum. And I have a drum here that's called a bongo. And a bongo is one that you hit with your hands. Now I want you to notice something really cool. And this is the same thing you can see on the bongo and with the maracas, is that we learned this also when we were looking at some of the other instruments. The bigger the instrument, the lower the sound. And the smaller the instrument, the higher the sound. Like the piccolo is higher than the flute, or the tuba is lower than the trumpet. Listen to the big maraca, and listen to the little maraca. Not only is it lower, it's louder, and this one is softer. On the drums, the bigger the drum, the lower the sound. See this one? The higher the drum, the higher the sound. And I have some bells. And I also have, well, I was going to do these. My grandson is sleeping, so I'm not sure how loud I can do these. These are kind of like my homemade cymbals. But you would have cymbals are apart. They kind of crash together, so it's like they're hitting together, and they're a part of the percussion family. Like, I'm trying to be quiet so I don't wake up the household. So I'm posting a couple of videos to your homework site so that you guys can go into them on YouTube and you can look at some of the instruments and how they actually really work. I can't really do them here because we're not really in our music class. But I did want to show you the other thing that I'm posting on your homework is how you yourself can make some crafts, and you can make your own instruments, and you can make some drums, and maybe you can do these in the next couple of weeks with your mom or some of your brothers and sisters at home. And I wanted to show you how you can, one of the things that we did when my kids were little was we made some little shakers. We took the little Easter eggs and we put rice in them. Then we put a little piece of tape on them. Lost a little bit of rice there. All right. Sometimes it works better if somebody's helping you. Anyway, that's kind of the point. Now listen. And listen to the maraca. And I just made a homemade maraca. Now you can take some other things, like I keep my beans in a jar in my cabinet. But if I took my beans and put them in a jar, I've got an instrument right there. And you can take paints and color your jars and do whatever you want to make your homemade instruments. And on some of the sites that I have for you, it also tells you how you can make a drum. One shaker that you can make is, I'm not going to try and make it today, but you can take a toilet paper roll and put a top on it, turn it upside down, put some beans in it, some rice in it, or some beads, something you might get at the craft store, and cover it, and then paint it, and then you've got your own little shaker. So there's a whole lot of instruments that you can make in the percussion family. You can take a cake pan, beat it with a drumstick, and make your own drumsticks. Like these drumsticks right here were actually made from sticks out in the woods, and that's what we use those to play our drums. Now, the last thing I wanted to go over about the percussion family is we talked about two things at the beginning of the year, one called beat and one called rhythm. Some of your instruments in percussion are used to keep the beat. Like you have a bass drum, which I don't have here today, but I'll use this one like a bass drum. And people might use the bass drum or this kind of drum to keep a beat, which would be the steady. And that keeps the rest of all the other instruments on track for the way that they need to go. And then you have other instruments like the bongos or the snare drum that do the rhythm. I'm going to kind of sit down here to get the bongo. They would play the rhythm. Or the tambourine might be keeping the rhythm. Or the maraca. So you have a lot of different instruments in the percussion family, and you have a lot of fun things you can do with them. So I hope that you will go to some of these sites I have for you and look at some of these things. Maybe do some of the crafts. If you make them, you can bring them to school when you come in a couple of weeks and show them to the class and play them for us. And I also have, I think I have a word search and a couple of cool coloring sheets that you can do. And next week, I'm going to still keep doing the percussion family, but we're going to be going to some different countries and learning about some really, really cool percussion instruments that we might find in other countries. So that's all I have for today. Normally we would be scrambling and I would say, get your books together and everybody come line up and I'll give you your super notes and I would choose a star student, but I don't have a star student today. Since my daughter Bethany is videotaping this for me today, she will be my star student and she gets to pick something out of the prize box. So she can have a really happy day today. But I just want to say that I miss all of you guys and I can't wait to come back and at least hopefully have a couple of weeks with you before we have to say goodbye and have a fun summer. So long.